All right, joined by Brian Hayes here in studio. Marty Biron in his home office. All right, guys, finish this sentence for me. What Morgan Rielly did was a suitable self-sacrifice or nothing short of selfish. Hazer?
Absolutely suitable sacrifice for Morgan Rielly. Someone had to step up here for the Maple Leafs. They continued to get challenged year after year after year that they're not tough enough, that they don't respond to losing, that they get embarrassed by other players or other teams in this league. Someone had to step up. Now, I know you're going to ask me, well, what if it's 5 or 6 game suspension? He's not going to know that in the moment. I don't believe he went in there thinking, I'm going to cross-check this guy in the head. It got away from him.
He accidentally cross-checked him in the head?
He went over there to have a response. Greig knew he was coming. Greig saw him coming. He got his arm up. He got him in the head. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve a suspension. Of course it does. And the Maple Leafs are going to have to pick him up because Rielly stepped up here. Someone was going to. I think Ridly Greig knew someone was going to. I'm not sure he expected that response.
Someone was going to chase him, but not a cross-check in the face.
Okay, that's fine. But some response was absolutely necessary. Morgan Rielly was the guy that did it. I think that's the right play by him.
Yeah, and it's a suitable self-sacrifice. But listen, it doesn't matter what we think. It's what the Leafs think inside that locker room, what your coaching staff think, what your hockey department thinks. And what we've seen now is the Leafs are all happy with the response from Morgan Rielly. They all think that, if it was anybody else in that room, they would have done the same. Now, I'm not so sure about that, but they have to believe that anybody wearing that Leafs jersey would have had that same response. I go back to 2007 when I was with the Flyers. 20-game suspension to Steve Downey in preseason. 25-game suspension to Jesse Bullreese 3 games into the season. And we got our GM, Paul Holmgren, come down and says, I don't care what anybody else around says or thinks about what is going on in this room. We stick together. We play with heart. We play with intensity. We battle for one another. That's all that matters. I think it doesn't matter if Morgan Rielly is suspended 3, 6, 8 games. Whatever the Leafs believe inside that locker room is what matters to them.
No, it doesn't. That's not the only thing that matters to them. And here's the part that's driving me crazy. And I've heard you say this, Marty, and I've heard you say this as well. The self-sacrifice. This is not self-sacrifice. When we talk about the code is meant in the NHL. If somebody hurts your teammate, you step up and defend him. I get that. The code does not mean somebody hurt my feelings. And the only thing that was hurt there was Morgan Rielly's feelings. They took a slap shot into the net. Liljegren was not laying on the ice injured.
No.
Nobody was lying on the ice injured. This was a guy who got his feelings hurt because we slapped the puck in the net.
That's why they responded. You mentioned the Liljegren thing. Yes. Marchand on Liljegren. That's why they respond the way that they're responding now. They got challenged because they did
an empty net.
Let's not play stupid here, though. Let's not play stupid here. A lot of things are driving you nuts. You know what's been driving me nuts the last 48 hours? The forced ignorance. Well, he's just supposed to score. What's wrong with scoring?
No,
he could have scored a different way. That's exactly what you're saying.
No, I'm saying you want to retaliate.
So Ridly Greig has no
with a cross-check in the face. No, go over there, skate over there, drop your gloves,
Absolutely.
Get him to go.
I agree with you.
That's not a cross-check. This was predatory. It was premeditated.
That's a different conversation.
He had to go a long way to get this
You're
done.
asking, is it selfish or is it self-righteous? Is it something that the team needed? Obviously, it would have been better if he dropped his gloves. I think it would have been much better if everyone else on the ice wearing a Maple Leaf jersey came in flying too.
Yeah.
That is not a good look for every other player on that team because the core 5, I'll include Rielly here, Tavares, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, they all have the same disposition on the ice. They always look as if they don't have emotion. They don't care enough when they lose. Someone had to break that chain. It was Morgan Rielly on Saturday night. I don't like the fact that the other 4 guys just kind of moseyed into it. Max Domi got in there quick. Max knew what he had to do, but someone had to step up for the Leafs here in terms of them proving they're not going to handle it. I know you're trying to downplay the shot into the empty net. Ridly Greig knew exactly what he was doing, and I guarantee you guys in that Senators room and the front office,
I get that.
They knew what he was doing too, and they fully expected a response.
They expected a response. Marty, I want to get back to something you were saying. You were saying that the players in the room are supporting what Morgan Rielly did. My question is this. What Ryan Reeves said, where he basically said, if it was me, it would have been a lot worse. It should be worse, et cetera, et cetera. Does that not actually hurt Morgan Rielly as Rielly goes into that hearing on Tuesday? Because now the league is saying, whoa, wait a minute. We got to come down hard on Morgan Rielly because his teammates still think what he did was okay. As a matter of fact, he didn't do enough. We got to send a message to Rielly and everybody else around the league that, no, this is completely unacceptable.
I think everybody in the league understands that if it had been a different type of player on the ice, this could have been a lot worse. And there's nothing the league can do about that. They have to deal with the situation at hand. And listen, there is a code. And I do understand that. Look, I don't want to sit here and say, I played the game, I know the code. There's different codes in different like parts of life, right? Your own family, how you do at school, how you do at work, different sports. There's different codes, things you can and cannot do, and things that if you do, you should expect a response from somebody else from the other team. And I know that right now we're looking at a suspension, and I got people saying, hey, this should be like Dale Hunter and Pierre Turgeon. No, there's a difference. Yeah. Pierre Turgeon scored a goal in the playoff that it was a hockey goal. It was a hockey play. What Ridly Greig did is, trying to put it on, add it on in an empty netter. You know what? The league leader in empty netters is Alex Ovechkin. The Washington Capitals just put out an Instagram story with all of Alex Ovechkin's empty net goal. And he's played in some intense battles against the Pittsburgh Penguins in playoff games and whatnot. Never once did he take a full slap shot into an empty net. Why? Because he understands that since a young age, there's things that you can do and things that you cannot do. And if you do them, you're better be standing up for a response. And that's exactly what happened. So, no, I really feel that the league is looking at this and saying, okay, what's the incident? Was the cross-check forceful, first of all? I didn't feel it was that impactful of a cross-check, but that's another, story right there. But I do feel that the league is lucky that it wasn't somebody else on the ice that would have just dropped their glove, took him, punished him with a few punches, and really could have been a lot worse. Listen, no one's disputing that a suspension is worthy here and a suspension is coming. I agree with you. This is a league. It's very difficult to get a read on the Department of Player Safety, too. Let's be honest here. Anything between a game and 10, 15, 20, I wouldn't be surprised because we're lost in the dark here a lot of times. There's no consistency here. But usually they suspend based on injury. Greig got right up. He practiced today. He's fine. And this idea that this is something you got to get out of hockey as if it's exclusive to hockey. What Ridly Greig did was provocative. He knows it. Everyone else knows it. And he got the response he was likely looking for. It happens in every other sport, Gino. But the punishment needs to fit the crime. We're at Morgan Rielly. 3 games. That's what it should be. What is the crime? The punishment for Ridly Greig should have been the similar thing. He fired a puck into an empty net. His punishment should have been somebody dropped the gloves, not a stick in the face. That's fine. If you could go back in time, I think that's exactly what should have happened. I think ideally Morgan Rielly drops his gloves, throws punches, everyone comes in, it's 6-on-5, you got a line ball, whatever you want. Marty? Yeah, but really, Greig wasn't even ready for a fight. Like, was he ready for a fight? No. Like, think of Blake Lizotte last year when he cross-checked Josh Morrissey in the face. Josh Morrissey saw Lizotte come at him. He said, oh, he's going to want to fight me. He drops his glove and his stick, and then he took a cross-check to the face. You know how many game suspension Blake Lizotte got for that? 1 game. And the guy was ready for a fight, saying, hey, that's the code. Let's fight it off. And he got cross-checked in the face. Ridly Greig was not even ready for a fight. He looked over, and he saw Morgan Rielly, and he put his hand up like, oh, he's going to cross-check me. And he actually guided the stick up towards his face more than anything else. So he wasn't ready for a fight. He knew what he was doing. And listen, own it. If you're Ridly Greig, own it. Say, you know what? I wanted to stick it to you guys. We beat you in our building. Got Leafs fans everywhere. Own it. That's fine, but know that it's coming at you. Well, exactly. I mean, that's the beauty of these plays is everyone's healthy, everyone's okay, you move on. The Battle of Ontario may have got sparked on Saturday night, but let's be honest. There is a fork in the road when it comes to the way people look at this game. Some people love that kind of stuff, some people don't. And the fact of the matter is, if Ridly Greig had to fight, the same conversation would have been had about the code. Why does he have to fight? All he did was score a goal. So if that's the way you feel, probably nothing's going to change your mind. But if you're going to do something provocative in pro sports, whether it's hockey, in football, basketball, baseball, it happens in every single sport. Chances are in a physical, tough game where you're dealing with a team, where you're dealing with a shield you're trying to protect, a reputation you're probably trying to uphold, that kind of stuff is going to happen on Saturday night. Morgan Rielly went out to punish Ridly Greig. What he's doing right now ultimately is, yes, he got Greig in the face. He's really punishing his teammates because now if he sits 5 or 6 games, the best defenseman on this Toronto Maple Leafs team is out at a critical time of the year where they're battling for a wild card spot. So not great timing.